as we know it is changing. Life on Earth is shifting. We can survive the environmental and climate crisis if we listen to science, if we learn from one another, and if we seize this moment to turn the overwhelming support for climate action into policy wins and systemic changes. We are witnessing dramatic changes in the way we live and conduct business because of COVID-19. When it caused greenhouse gas emissions to fall sharply, experts say the drop was not to last long as industry operations fully resumed soon. Ironically, 2020 became the second hottest year on record, with just a fraction of a difference than the hottest year, which is 2016. The last 10 years also became the hottest decade on record, showing a trend of increasing global warming and climate change. Clearly, the global health emergency has done nothing to slow down climate change. If any, it delayed the pace and progress of the climate movement as governments and economies prioritized COVID-19 response. Our planet is at a breaking point. It is not too late to save it. Many leaders have pointed out the opportunity that we have right now, not just to recover from this pandemic, but to also build back better to address the present and the looming impacts of climate change. We are already seeing the rising number of nations, cities, regions, and even companies and industries committing to net zero emissions by mid-century or earlier. More and more organizations and communities are also strengthening their efforts to reduce air and plastic pollution and to pursue clean and sustainable energy while growing their local economies. Planetary health, climate resilience, and sustainable development, they all go hand in hand. Here in our country, the Philippines, various communities and organizations are leading the way for sustainability and climate solutions. In this documentary, we share their stories to inspire more people to pursue more sustainable ways of living and urgent climate action. We will take a closer look at how they are innovating solutions and modeling the path for renewable and clean energy development, sustainable urban mobility, and single-use plastics regulation. Millions of Filipinos still lack access to reliable and consistent, affordable, accessible electricity, which renewable energy technologies can now competitively provide. Traditional energy sources such as coal and other fossil fuels are considered inflexible and unable to adjust to declining loads, leading to unstable electricity supply, aside from significantly contributing to air pollution and carbon emissions. Long before the pandemic, social enterprises and civil society organizations have been quietly working to help provide off-grid and rural communities access to clean energy through renewable energy technologies. And one of these groups is Visayas-based social enterprise Light of Hope PH. Let's now listen to their story.
Hi, I am Joviel Montajes, a climate reality leader from Cebu Province, Philippines. Founder of Light of Hope PH, a social impact startup that aims to uplift the lives of the less privileged off-the-grid communities and help mitigate climate change through the use of clean, renewable energy technologies and Internet of Things technologies. We started in 2017, and one of our early projects was the solar night lamp in a bottle project. We were upcycling PET plastic bottles, combined it with a small solar panel, a battery, and an LED bulb to make a solar lamp. We also did some workshops in schools, universities, and even in company premises to spread awareness about the climate crisis. And we also teach people on how to assemble the solar lamps, and the assembled lamps were then donated to the family beneficiaries near their areas. And through this initiative, we were able to serve 1,400 family beneficiaries, upcycle 2,800 PET plastic bottles, engage more than 1,000 volunteers, and help reduce or avoid 182,000 kilograms of CO2 emissions per year. When the COVID-19 pandemic hits the whole world, everything changed. It's like overnight, work and educational systems went online, and our less privileged off-the-grid communities are now more marginalized than ever. We understand that in able for us to better serve our communities in need, we have to step up and innovate and improve our products, and that was when the Cloud Grid project was created. Here is our Cloud Grid version 1 unit prototype, equipped with smart meter inside that directly communicates to the Cloud Grid server. Here is also our Cloud Grid IoT platform, where you can view all the data coming from the Cloud Grid units.
Ako di ay si Manila Makani. Suka sa bukyo diri ang gamit sa para managas ang lahi lagi sir kay pagtuon ka kung lahi mga assignment kanapkap sa mga nang-auser wa mo lagi choice nagirang ka panalitan o lahi hangin-hangin may bagyo na time o nalitan nagkaon so it sir dako yung kesag ka ng ikatabang sir kay kuan naman siya naka-charge na ni sa mga cellphone nila naka-save na set ni sa gas na among gamitin before nga nagparang ang iyasang kayod dito gabi kay steady na dili na dyan palong-palong anak gawas ang imo sila paungan pero mga kalibag nyo ng ilana mga mangitabo steady rin na.
The Cloud Grid project also won some awards in both national and international competitions. In December 2020, Cloud Grid project won the Environment category of Unified Awards Philippines, hosted by Upcycling Philippines and supported by the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines. And just recently, this year, Cloud Grid project got selected as one of the 10 winners for the British Council COP26 Innovation Challenge, out of 244 submissions from 40 different countries. This year, the goal is to build and deploy 500 up to 1,000 Cloud Grid units, which will directly impact the lives of 2,500 up to 5,000 people in the off-the-grid communities, and will also help reduce 65,000 up to 130,000 kilograms of CO2 emissions per year. And to achieve this goal, Legarda PH will soon launch the Cloud Grid crowdfunding platform. It is a platform which will provide opportunities for every individual from around the world to help fight the climate crisis and offset their carbon footprint by funding the Cloud Grid project. More details soon on our social media, Facebook, and website. We hope that you would join us and build communities today. Keep on sharing the light and be a light hero.
The non-government organization Solar Hope, meanwhile, has been providing solar and sustainable solutions to marginalized communities. Let's learn about their initiatives.
I'm Mark Napao. I'm the president and founder of Solar Hope, and this is the Bajau community in Batangas. They are one of the tribes of the Philippines, and most of them nakatira talaga sa tabi ng dagat. Kadalasan ng mga hanap buhay nila, pangingisda, pagtitinda, at marami pang iba. Galing po ako dito last November along with my other NGO, 180 Degrees Music Team. They are a team who reaches out through music and performing arts. So nung nag-outreach sila dito sa community, sumama po ako and I saw the need. Hence, Solar Hope was born. Sustainable outreach and lifelong advocacy to rekindle hope, or Solar Hope. It is an initiative and advocacy to provide solar to rural and poorly electrified communities dito po sa Pilipinas. Our aim is to develop sustainable communities by addressing their needs through education, livelihood, health, and habit-generating programs. Ang vision po namin is that someday, lahat ng communities sa Pilipinas is magiging sustainable na. And ang mission namin is to give hope and light to the lives and houses of the community. So we don't just give sustainable solutions, we build relationships with the community for them to know na hindi lang po sila isang project, but they are really a family that we really love and care. How do we achieve sustainable communities? Simple lang po yung goals namin. Our first goal is safety. Usual sa ganitong community yung multiple connections sa isang electric meter. Like here sa community, 17 houses sa isang electric meter. Sobrang prone po nun sa sunog. Lalo na dito sa community, puro nipa halos lahat ng bahay. Our second goal is basic electricity needs. Electrification reduces poverty. And what we do, we provide solar home systems na kasama na yung panel, yung battery, may ilaw, radyo, fan, at charger ng cellphone. And our third goal is savings. Usually, binabayaran po nila dito monthly, halos nasa 6,000. 300 pesos a month sa isang ilaw, 450 pesos sa fan, and sobrang bigat nito for families na wala namang stable income. So we don't just provide electricity, we also provide education, livelihood, and other character development. So with this, we aim to develop sustainable communities. So how will we do it? Phase 1 is site mapping. Basically, knowing anong meron. So we went to the community, we survey, we live with the locals, coordinate with the government officials and community leaders. Phase 2 is planning. Involve lahat doon, yung team, yung partners, and even the community. Phase 3 is deployment of first solar home systems. Part nun is educating the community how to use and maintain the solar home systems. Phase 4 is the progressive deployment of solar home systems along with the other sustainable development programs. But this is just the plan for the first year. Our projection to develop sustainable communities is 5 years with different focus. Year 1, electrification. Year 2, education. Year 3, livelihood. Year 4, governance. And Year 5, Beacons of Hope. Beacons of Hope, basically, how would the community be an inspiration of hope sa iba pang communities? Bakit Solar Hope? People say ang ganda na intention, ng progress, ng community. But actually, it didn't start well. Solar Hope is a fruit of my depression. I was an achiever, sabi nila multi-talented, and so I'm not used to failures. Sanay ako na madali ko lang na ma-manage yung mga bagay. But when I face the real world, hindi pala ganun kadali ang buhay. Failures are part of growing up and maturing. So after I graduated, I faced series of failures that led me to depression. I was in the verge of really giving up everything in life. But 4 months ago, I was given hope and light. So pumunta po ako dito sa Bajau community, and ako yung dapat tutulong sa kanila, but it turned out na sila po yung tumulong sa akin. While I was here, unti-unti ko nakilala yung sarili ko, saan ako masaya, ano yung gusto kong gawin, and I believe ito na yung gagawin ko for the rest of my life. Giving hope and light sa mga buhay at bahay ng mga tao. Now, my challenge is this. I was once a candle na muntik na mawalan ng ilaw, pero unting-unting nagliwanag. And right now, I'm challenging people to shine their lights as well, and sama-sama nating ilawan ang mga community. I'm Mark, and I am a beacon of hope.
I am a beacon of hope. I am a beacon of hope.
I am a beacon of hope.
I am a beacon of hope.
I am a beacon of hope.
I am a beacon of hope. I am a beacon of hope.
Ako'y ilaw ng pag-asa.
Habang pinapasa po natin yung pagiging ilaw ng pag-asa or liwanag, mas lumiliwanag yung buhay at yung lugar. Yan. Wow. Actually, practice lang po yan kung paano pinipindot. Yes! Yan, sige po. Yan. Diba, no? So, dati kung isipin nyo yung makantog, napakadilim, walang ilaw, parang hindi ko alam kung naisip niyo ba na magkakakuryente din dito balang araw. Wala mang Meralco, may solar naman. Kasi hindi na pala.
Benches, tapos nasa ilalim ng benches, parang bamboo or parang sa wood kasi super structure ng benches. So here's what we're proposing to do.
I've been thinking about the years to come, cause I haven't liked this one that much.
Recognize your family?
Yes. Don't you tell me everything's okay, cause I'm not even listening to you anymore.
Why I'm bringing people like my same age, hindi ko alam yung pinagdaanan dyan, pero talay nyo. Hindi ba kayo nakapunta doon, no? May church kasi doon. Tapos, umiyak. Grabe yung ano eh. Ano po?
Kaya maraming mga moms na
Patatas. May kilala ba ako? Mga shelves nyo po.
And it feels like sleepwalking will never be my friend. Every now and then, all my days feel like they're all the same, because I am sleepwalking just the same as yesterday. So help me, I can't stop, I can't go, like an out of water torpedo. Something's breaking and I don't know what to do, but what I do know is that I need you to help me. I can't stop, I can't go, like an out of water torpedo. Something's breaking and I don't know what to do, but what I do know is that I need you to help me. I can't stop, I can't go, like an out of water torpedo. Something's breaking and I don't know what to do. Am I breaking down?
Milyon-milyong tahanan at libo-libong sityo pa rin ang walang kuryente. Isa na dito ang Sitio Rawang, Barangay Tandang Kutyo, Tanay Rizal. Matagal na silang nasa dilim. Pero, hindi na ngayon.
buhay pagkasawali. Para po magkaroon po ng mga panggastos po aming mga anak, ganyan sa pag-aaral po ng kanilang module po, sir. Kasi kinukulang din po kami sa aming kinikita.
Actually, guro na ako dito ng 2016 as a multi-grade. Teacher ako ng kinder to grade 6. Minsan talaga ang mahirap dito dahil liblib, wala kang kuryente, wala kang signal. Actually sabi ko, uy, malilipat din ako. Pero meron ding kumakabig sa utak ko na wag muna. Hanggat kaya mong wag muna lumipat kasi ikaw yung pinakamalaking tulong so far sa mga bata.
Talaga pong napakahirap. Ang maganda po sana kung ang pandemic na ito ay matapos na. Unang-una po noon, wala ditong ilaw kami dito po sa Rawang. Tapos tubig, mahirap po dito sa tubig. Nawang nagpapahirap yung pinansyal kasi walang trabaho.
Mga paghihirap ko po noong mga panahon na wala pa kaming solar o liwanag ng buhay, napakadilim, as nakakalungkot kasi may mga anak ka na nag-aaral, hindi makapag-aral lalo po sa gabi.
Ngayong pandemya, medyo mahirap yung komunikasyon sa amin kasi wala talagang signal, walang internet connection. So talagang kailangan mo silang puntahan sa kanilang mga bahay. Nang sa ganun, mamonitor mo yung kalalagayan ng mga mag-aaral. Isa sa mga napili namin na modality ay ang modular distance learning na kung saan ang mga modules, mga worksheet, mga answer sheet, mga self-learning materials, ito ay inihahatid namin sa mga community kiosk.
Habang pinapasa po natin yung pagiging ilaw ng pag-asa or liwanag, mas lumiliwanag yung buhay at yung lugar. Actually, practice lang po yung para pinipindot. Yes!
That time, ang may ilaw lang po dito ay mga siguro mga 20%. Minsan, wala pa talaga yung kandila.
Ang solar hope po ay nagbibigay electricity sa mga electricity, syempre.
Dati, gumagamit sila ng ilaw na nagpapacharge pa sila sa baba, ang bigat ng battery. Nang dumating ang Solar Hope, talagang sobrang para sila nabunutan ng tinik. May ilaw na sila, nakalibre pa sila. Talagang liwanag sila ng buhay. Solar Hope at saka yung Tanglaw.
Malaking bagay po sa Solar Hope na yan. Kasi nung wala pa po kami solar, gasera pa lang po ilaw namin. Siyempre, gas po yun. Ngayon wala na pong mabiling gas. Dumating nga po si Sir Mart na nagparating ng liwanag sa buhay namin. Napaka-ginhawa po ng may ilaw pong maliwanag ang aming pamilya.
Sobrang nakakagaan ng loob and nakakataba ng puso pag nakita mo yung nakakatulong talaga sa kanila sa gabi, yung ilaw, ganyan. Tapos pag nakita mo yung mga ngiti nila, parang wala lahat ng pagod, parang ngayon, di ba, pandemic, grabe yung sitwasyon natin, and lalo na yung bagong kalakaran ngayon ng DepEd, yung distance learning. So, modules lang dito sa community. So, ang goal ng Tanglaw Batch 2 is makapagbigay kami ng solar na may 3 na yung ilaw para makatulong sa mga pamilya.
Mtero means access to energy for community, and it's a program that provides solar solution for vulnerable communities, either with poor access to energy, like living in urban areas, or with communities that are totally off-grid, like in the mountain and the islands. Seeing the COVID, we had also, thankfully, some authorization, let's say, from our donors to give a part of ourselves. So that's how it happened. So it was really timely that Mark contacted me through emails, like just to know what we were doing, and then it was a match. really amazed how such NGO that is like just based with volunteer and that are not even full-time. They are so professional, and I really like the fact that they work very closely with the schools, and they have a very close relation with all the communities. So far, every time we came here in Sitio Rawang, it was always very easy to work with them, with the community members. Always work with community members when we do our operations. So we were still in contact through phone with the people living there. So we decided to activate for free all their system, so they could have free energy at least during the pandemic. Starting now, this household who were totally off-grid and using candles, kerosene, benefit now from a solar kit with 3 lights that they can charge.
Sobrang laking tulong sa kanila, sa buong pamilya, and sa mga anak nila na nakapagsagot na kahit gabi, ganyan. At hindi lang yun, kahit sa mga gawain nila sa pagtatrabaho, sa wali, sa pagluluto. Pangarap ko sa kanila na makita sila na sila mismo nagtutulungan na, ganyan. Sila na rin yung nag-initiate ng mga projects. Tapos makita na talagang nagagamit nila yung mga ilaw, yung pagkakaroon ng kuryente.
Napaka-hawa pong kumilos pag maliwanag po. Pati harapan nga po namin kinaliwanan pagkain namin. Masaya po mga anak ko kumakain. Sabi, nanay, napaka-ganda ng ating ilaw.
Maraming salamat po sa Solar Hope, sa ate ko, gayon din sa Ingram, sa ipinagkaloob nyo sa aming solar sa mga mag-aaral namin dito sa Paaralang Elementarya ng Rawang.
Handa na ang Paaralang Elementarya ng Rawang. Handang isip, handang bukas, sulong, Blue Rizal!
I would like to thank all the team of Solar Hope and especially Mark as a founder, but also all the teachers from Rawang School for welcoming us in this sitio and really ease all the coordination to make this project a success.
Buong puso po kami nagpapasalamat in behalf ng Solar Hope sa lahat ng naging partners, sa lahat ng community champions na tumutulong sa amin, sa Rawang Elementary School, ate ko, Ingram, sa lahat po ng tumutulong sa amin. Patuloy po tayong maging ilaw ng pag-asa sa komunidad ng Rawang.
Papasalamat po ako sa ating pong sponsor na Solar Hope at saka ate ko. Kasi po tayo po ay nagkaroon ng liwanag dito sa Sitio Rawang. Marami pong salamat na nabigyan niyo po kami ng tulong dito sa aming sitio.
Ang pangalan natin, hindi na yung maalala ng mga susunod na henerasyon. Ito yung mga ginawa natin, hindi na nila makakalimutan. So yung pag-akyat niyo dito, dadali na yan ng community for the next generation.
Solar de
Ano daw to?
Adobong puno ng pagmamahal.
Oh, graduation na, graduation na.
Eh,
Salamat po ako sa mga kampanya dito sa WJC, Solar Hope at Ate ko, sa mga kasamahan nyo po na pumunta dito, nagpagod kahit malayo po kami, nabutan ng tulong dito para may ilaw po kami. Maraming salamat po. Sana po ay patuloy pa kayo pumunta dito sa amin at patuloy din po kami matulungan. Maraming salamat po sa mga sponsors na tumulong sa amin.
These stories from Light of Hope PH and Solar Hope provide us with invaluable insights as to how renewable energy can power communities and change their lives. And there are a lot more inspiring stories around the country, from cities and provinces, some of which are resisting existing and proposed coal-fired power plants, to youth groups demanding clean, renewable energy development from government. With the Department of Energy's issuance of a moratorium on greenfield coal-fired power plants, we may hopefully see more stories and communities like these further come to light. In 2020, biking and walking gained mainstream attention as they became the main means of transport for many of our healthcare workers, delivery personnel, and other frontliners as COVID-19 restricted public transport and mobility. A survey released by the Social Weather Station's SWS this year revealed that 87% of Filipinos preferred that bicycles and public transportation be prioritized over private vehicles. This is consistent with the earlier findings by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, reporting that 88% of Filipinos in Metro Manila and Greater Manila area do not own cars, and only 12% own at least one. To support the majority of Filipinos who want better public transport infrastructure and programs, the Climate Reality Project Philippines, Institute for Climate and Sustainable Cities, Manila Moves, and 350 Pilipinas launched the first ever Mobility Awards in 2020. The Mobility Awards aims to recognize the most bike-friendly cities, workplaces, and commercial establishments, and to inspire action to improve conditions for urban mobility. Through its pilot run in Metro Manila last year, the Mobility Awards was able to identify innovators and pathfinders who are enabling better mobility options for all. Let's take a look.
Well, first and foremost, let me thank you for the award, the Mobility Award. It's an initiative that we actually started with the enthusiasts in biking themselves. No? One of them, of course, is Dr. Andrew Umali. He's an emergency room doctor, emergency medicine specialist. And it was necessary at that time, especially during the time when there was no transportation available. We have now actually we have expanded the area for parking for the bikes, and we would be very glad to show you how it is in the basement parking that we have. More and more are parking their bikes there. So that is one way of encouraging it. The other thing there, of course, is collaborating with the Pasig LGU to make sure that the lanes are available and safety of the bikers are ensured. So that is one thing that we can do. Plus the fact that I think the more that we talk about this, the more that we involve more and more young people, we probably can really move on with the movement. It's going to be a movement. No? It's not going to, it should not stop once the pandemic is over. It should actually continue. And in terms of urban planning, there should be spaces for bikes. And there should be more encouragement from our government to ensure that those that are into this really power in terms of energy, very in conservation. But what we need to do now is to provide the environment and provide the safety nets for those who would like to pick up the biking movement.
Mobility is really very important kasi nakaupo lang ang empleyado maghapon. So biking, we feel, is one of the most affordable na activity. As of course, walking. Sa mga initiatives na ginagawa ng management, encouraging our people to do some activities like biking and walking every day sa ating premises dito. Even in the daily commutes na kanila, marami tayong empleyado who are biking from home within Metro Manila and even in the provinces.
Very happy with how the GSIS, this institution, has responded for the need for biking to work for people, for its employees, to be able to do their jobs well.
Tayo nagdaglaan ng isang malaking space dito sa ating parking area. We installed bike racks for our bikers. We also have shower rooms. We were able to encourage more go into biking, you know. I'm sure that the membership ng ating cycling club has been growing not only in Metro Manila, not only in GSI's home office. I heard news na bawat branch na ngayon ay nagkakaroon kanya-kanyang cycling club. So we will be installing or coming up with the bike station. Lahat ng gusto mag-iwan, not only for employees, even outsiders can avail of the bike station. It will support not only the employees here but also all the workers within the vicinity or within Pasay City who would like to avail that bike station.
Well, in Pasig Transport, one of our main programs has been to facilitate the distribution of bicycles for commuting use to employees all over the Pasig City organization and family. But our other main program to make Pasig Transport and Pasig City Hall a more bicycle-friendly workplace is really to increase the amount of available bicycle parking and locate it in places where you can park your bicycle with safety, peace of mind, and dignity. One of the main programs that Pasig City is implementing is a bike loan program that allows interested employees to avail of interest-free loans from the city in case they want to begin bike commuting. So often it's difficult to get financing from banks or other traditional sources if all you want to buy is a bike. But what we found in Pasig City is that by extending loans, let's say like even 10 or 15,000 pesos to employees, people can actually access a lot of financing to buy the bike of their choice that will make commuting a lot easier for them. And this is a program which we've had some success with, which we want to develop and continue in the future. What every workplace has to realize and what every organization has to realize is that within your organization, there are many people, could be even hundreds of people, that want to bike to work today, but cannot for many reasons. And one of the main reasons people do not bike to work is the lack of bicycle parking facilities, among other things. So if you really care about your employees, and I think many workplaces do care about their employees, I think it can really help them and it can really help your organization to become as bicycle friendly as possible.
Bonifacio Haiti has always been an advocate for active lifestyle, especially cycling. We have bike lanes around High Street. We have shower rooms, so if you want to bike to work, you can actually go to your office refreshed. We have, of course, our very creative bike racks that you can see along High Street. We see more and more cyclists gather around High Street, especially during the weekends. You can see kids with their families learning to bike around High Street, something that living in an urban setting doesn't allow them too much. We plan to engage and partner with other PMDs, not just cycling, but scooters and other electric vehicles to promote sustainable transport in the city.
In terms of customers naman, syempre yun, we also see na nadadagdagan rin yung mga customers na pupunta din, di ba, access the essentials sa malls natin ng using their bikes. Provide bike lanes dun sa vicinity namin to make the riding of the bikers safe sa area natin. That's one. Then we give free parking dun sa mga bikers na gustong mag-park. Then they ride out to the various destination dito sa region, sa papunta Antipolo or Marikina, UP, and also in San Mateo. No? Continuous education of the biking culture in the Philippines, so in the malls na napunasan ng SM Supermall. So we are also planning to integrate the bike lanes na ginawa natin sa mga malls dun sa bike lane system ng city. With that, our intention is to really connect the dots of the city, the malls, nearby establishments na pwede naming i-support with that bike lane.
To begin with, SM Mall of Asia set up bike parking racks in strategic locations. And we've also allocated spaces for helmet depositories, so the cyclists can leave their helmets also. And we've installed a bike repair station with basic tools for bike repairs. And but that's just inside the mall. Outside the mall, along the Mall of Asia complex, we've set up about 18 kilometers worth of bike lanes, both shared and dedicated bike lanes for cyclists to use. Well, one of the positive things we noticed was the increase in our walk-ins, more specifically cyclists. During mornings and weekends, Mall of Asia is very well known to have a lot of cyclists come in, but ever since we instituted these improvements, these initiatives for bike commuters, we've noticed a higher number of them coming over to the Mall of Asia. For our future plans, we're not just limiting these initiatives to the Mall of Asia. We're actually doing this in all of the SM locations and all of the SM malls. So it's not just within our property, we're also partnering with the local government and the LGUs of the particular malls so we can extend these bike lanes, bike signages, the repair stations, parking racks outside.
Existing bike lane in Marikina, refurbished not simply to improve on the looks, but to make it more functional, to serve its purpose for mobility, meaning we could connect home where people work, where people study, where they could access essential services. This is primarily what we intend to do with the bike lane system for Marikina City. Bike lane system in Marikina City has existed in the past 25 years. It was overtaken already by some developments and priorities of the city, and we would like to reestablish our priorities. We are not simply revisiting our program for the bike lane in Marikina, but we would like it to be more functional and to best serve the need for mobility of our people. The plan of the government really is to listen to people using bicycle and to follow the needs that they would be able to define for us in the government.
Dito po sa lungsod ng San Juan, kami po ay gumawa ng mga paraan upang manatiling ligtas ang mga nagbibisikleta. At kami po ay nag-set up ng isang bike route kung saan merong mga bollards at may mga bike lanes po ang mga dadaanan ng nagbibisikleta. So meron hong mga kalye, yung mga mas malalapad, kung saan meron tayong mga bollards na sinetup, meron na pintura yung mismong bike lanes natin. So naglunsad po kami ng bike lanes dito sa lungsod ng San Juan noong buwan ng Hunyo, kasabay po ng World Bike Day celebration. At ito ay ating ginawa upang bigyan ng proteksyon ang mga nagbibisikleta, lalong-lalo na po ng panahon ng kasagsagan ng ECQ sapagkat talagang limitado po ang public transportation natin. So ito po ay nagsilbing hudyat ng mas malalaking programa para sa ating lungsod patungkol sa pagbibisikleta. At nakita po natin pagkatapos ng halos 5 o 6 na buwan ay mas marami na po nagbibisikleta sa ating lungsod at marami na rin po tayong sinimulang mga programa patungkol sa pagbibisikleta at patungkol sa kaligtasan ng lahat po ng gumagamit ng ating mga kalye. Siyempre kasama dyan yung mga nagbabike. Ako'y ngayon nagpapasalamat sapagkat napili po ang San Juan bilang Gold Awardee ng Mobility Awards at ito'y isang pagkilala na tunay na nagbibigay ng inspirasyon sa amin. At dahil dito, lalo naming papag-igtingin ang ating bike lanes at bike system. Inaaral natin ngayon yung ating mga ibang secondary roads na pwede din nating lagyan ng bike lanes. And more importantly, is yung connectivity natin sa ibang lungsod. Tayo po ay nadalaw na ng MMDA at mismo si General Manager Jojo Garcia nagsabi na gusto nga nila gayahin yung ginawa nating bike lanes dito sa EDSA. And I'm also coordinating with Mandaluyong and Pasig para yung bike lanes natin sa Ortigas Avenue ay mag-connect sa kanilang mga lungsod. Tayo makikipagpulong din sa Quezon City at sa Manila sapagkat sila po ang mga lungsod na kapitbahay natin. Na kung magkaroon tayo ng isang network ng bike lanes among the 17 local government units in Metro Manila, maganda po ito sapagkat kahit saan ka, pwede nang abutin o puntahan ang iba't ibang lungsod sa pamamagitan ng pagbibisikleta.
So ever since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, the city has been working on passing ordinances and developing infrastructure plans to be more friendly to cyclists within the city jurisdiction. What Pasig City is working on going forward is really about making our streets friendlier, not just to cyclists, but also to pedestrians, to seniors, PWDs, and children, and everybody using any of the mobility infrastructure in the city. We are really trying to develop a focus on, number one, road safety, but also engaging populations that were previously underserved by different parts of transportation policy. So in addition to making our roads safer through the expansion of our bicycle lane network and the provision of bicycle parking and as well as speed control devices on our roads, we're also working on soliciting more input and proactively getting feedback from groups such as not just mobility advocacy groups, but also groups representing senior citizens, persons with disabilities, and parents caring for young children. If we want to make our cities bike friendlier, I think what every city in the Philippines needs to realize is that you have to first really accept that this is something that's possible. So we should not think of bike friendliness as being out of reach for the Philippines, and we shouldn't be limited by past experiences. I think the most important thing for cities in the Philippines is to believe that a better world for cyclists and pedestrians is possible.
Clearly, a mobility revolution is well underway, led by common folks determined to provide for their families and by various entities that are championing a more democratic approach in our use of roads and highways while also helping improve air quality in our society. And to express my wholehearted support for the mobility revolution, I filed House Bill 8688, also known as the Safe Pathways Network Act, to promote sustainable mobility through a network of bicycle lanes and pathways. Indeed, as the Mobility Awards gear up for a nationwide run, may these stories and innovations inspire many more cities, workplaces, and establishments to help in making the mobility conditions optimal for every Filipino commuter. Plastic pollution in the Philippines has worsened over the years, despite the country having various laws in place to promote and raise awareness on effective solid waste management and environmental protection. Republic Act number 9003, or the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, a law I offered to support recycling, segregation of waste at source, the establishment of materials recovery facilities in every barangay. I filed this in 1998 as a first-term senator, passed in 2000. It's over 2 decades old, but it is one that many local government units still find quite difficult to implement. But it's doable, and 1/4 of our population implements it. Various studies already point to the alarming state of plastic pollution in the Philippines. We are cited as one of the top plastic polluting countries in our oceans, and that we have high percentages of plastic leakage to the open environment and disposal in dump sites and landfills. According to a 2019 study by the Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternatives, more than 164 million plastic sachet packets, as well as 48 million shopping bags and 45 million thin film bags are used and disposed of daily in our country. Several local groups have taken the matter into their own hands by promoting innovative solutions to upcycle plastics, and one of these groups is First Gen.
Hi, I am Yandy Cachapero, the SK Chairperson of Barangay Agusan Canyon, Manolo Fortich, Province of Bukidnon. Agusan Canyon is a progressive barangay of the local government unit of Manolo Fortich, with a total population of 10,898 with a number of 2,209 households po. As a big barangay, with the total population we have, I can say that we also have the same or even twice the amount of garbage to collect or generated. Single-use plastics and empty plastic bottles, cellophane, styrofoam, packagings, food wraps, and plastic sachets has been a pressing issue on proper waste management. In our community, we have schedule for garbage collection, and then only those non-biodegradable waste will be collected. Our local dumping site here will not collect the garbage if it's not segregated. And segregated trash are left on the street, so this makes the streets filthy since sacks are left unattended, and then the stray dogs and cats are tearing those sacks filled with trash. Collection of garbage is hard for us because our local dump site here has a schedule or cut off as to when we will dump the collected garbage here. We were only using a mini dump truck, and then given that we have a number of people or residents here, we cannot accommodate to get all their waste. If we're going to collect in one zone, if it gets full, we will have no choice but to dump it directly to the local landfill for us to dump it within time. Before the FG's Create for the Climate campaign, we already have the SK Free Throw plastic bottle as dumping facility for empty plastic bottles. It is a basketball ring to make it more exciting.
We innovated the Escape Retro plastic bottle sa mga public areas like schools, market, any areas na crowded. Mas nakita nila nga mahilig tayo sa basketball. Pag may plastic sila, pag makita nila na plastic retro container, sila na lang yung i-shoot. Pag hindi nila ma-shoot, kunin nila ulit, tapos i-shoot na nila ulit. Parang kahit nagtatapon sila ng plastic bottle, na-enjoy pa rin nila.
When we had coaching session for the project presentation during the FG's Create for the Climate campaign, eco-bricking was then suggested to utilize the empty plastic bottles out of the pre-throw plastic containers. Garnering the first place during the first Gen's Create for the Climate campaign was not our only goal, but also to help our community find resolution on the issue on improper waste management. So we decided to replicate eco-bricking in our community through a competition.
Ang eco-brick ay made out of plastic wrappers and plastic bottles. Grabe yung effort nun kung paano bubuin yung eco-brick from garbage to yung disinted tignan na bottle. Kung may creative ka lang na mindset, mas marami pa yung magagawa mo sa eco-brick.
So when we had our IEC, it was the perfect platform where we taught them how to make a good eco-brick, because we are not only trying to minimize the soft plastics, it's like recycling it in a sustainable manner. So it's not just about making eco-brick, but it is also important to observe a good quality of eco-brick. We asked our zonal youth officers to participate in making zonal landmark out of eco-brick. So first, we conducted information education campaign or IEC to our participants to convey to our youth our objective in this project, and also to increase their ecological consciousness.
Nag-tap din kami sa mga barangay volunteers, like yung mga BHW at iba pang barangay volunteers, at nasiyahan sila sa project namin.
We included eco-brick making contest from last year's year-end activities. This is just a low-risk activity since the participants will just make the eco-brick within their zones. This was our way of engaging them in sustainable activities in which they were only staying at home.
Mga kabatan-unan sa Balanban, Agusan Canyon na agahat sa pag-apil sa eco-breaking competition sa amuang barangay. Aron makatabang mi sa among komunidad, labi na sa among purok, sa kahinlo sa palibot. Kaysa pinaagi ni ining eco-breaking competition na minusa namo ginagmay ang among mga basura sa mga tindahan, sa mga kanal, sa mga kalsada, sa mga batos nga nagkalat-kalat lang sa bisag asa nga lugar.
Purok Balanban initiated clean-up drive just to collect soft plastic. We also had fun because they created bonding within the youth in their zones po, even at the time of this pandemic.
Dako kayo ang impact sa project sa kabatan-unan sa Balanban, Agusan Canyon. Kaya aside sa nagkahiusa ang tanan, nadugangan pagyud ang among salabutan sa pag-recycle sa mga plastic bottles and cellophanes. Kay based on our experience sa pag-house-to-house namo sa pagpangolikta sa mga cellophanes, na ami balay na atuan nga gahimo day siya ani. Pero ang iyaha lang is Himo niyang unlan ang sachet sa shampoo. So, through that, na-realize na mo nga, pwede di ay ni siya, daghan day pwede pamaagi ang mga cellophanes nga para sa to. Basura na, pero pwede pa din siya magamit.
Ug among gibutang ang nahimo namo nga bricks dugang disenyo sa among landmark.
Na bawas-bawasan talaga yung mga basura, na mas may bandang kaming mga youth dito, hindi lang sa aming purok or one, as a whole community talaga. Yung pasensya, efforts, nandun talaga.
With the first gen Create for the Climate campaign led me to be an influence to our youth to take part in taking care of our environment. The learnings that we were able to develop in us is that the community's environmental involvement. We learned that if we're going to take lead, they will follow. When we introduced EcoBrick to them during the IEC, we learned that they would also like to take part, only that they don't have the idea.
Sa among project nga murag dili mi katuo nga murag niabot na siya bisag asa, na dungog na siya bisag asa. Una nga in-output unta nga kani nga project mo na siya murag bitaw mo tandog sa mga sa dugan o sa kasing-kasing sa katawan, dili lang sa among barangay, hindi sa tibok nasod.
Kung ginaawhag tanan katawhan sa manulupurtit sa pagtuman sa balaod mahitungod sa single use of plastic and solid waste management para malikayan ang pagdaghan sa plastic waste sa atong lugar, and also to prevent the possibilities of global warming and pollution, water pollution, ug uban pa.
It's not too late to save our Mother Earth. By starting on a small deeds, we can grow it more bigger.
Let's be one. Let's create a move to make our world better.
Let's make every day Earth Day.
Upcycling plastics into eco-bricks is indeed an innovative approach to make the most out of our plastic waste, while we are working towards further enabling the development of more sustainable products and packaging and regulating single-use plastics. According to the National Solid Waste Management Commission, 489 or 30% of all cities and municipalities in the country have some form of policy to regulate the use of plastics, particularly plastic bags. Meanwhile, I filed House Bill 635, a bill that seeks to phase out single-use plastics and implement an extended producer responsibility scheme. These stories of urgent, viable, and scalable grassroots climate solutions on energy, urban mobility, and waste tells us that the reasons for hope have never been greater. We can survive the environmental and climate crisis if we listen to science, if we learn from one another, and if we seize this moment to turn the overwhelming support for climate action into policy wins and systemic changes. The future of the planet and humanity will depend on the decisions we will collectively make in the coming years. Let us be relentless in fighting for a better planet and reality for all. This has been Loren Legarda for Flicker of Hope. Thank you for watching.